The transport ship hung in orbit above the green and brown planet. Inside the command deck, Commander Velrax stared at the world below with satisfaction in his crystalline eyes. This was Kral 7. Most people in the galaxy called it by another name, the Grinder. It was a death sentence disguised as a planet. Velrax clicked his mandibles together, making a sound like laughter. His species had ruled this sector of space for 3,000 years. They knew how to deal with troublemakers. And humans. Humans were definitely troublemakers. The planet below spun slowly. Velrax could see the massive storm systems that covered half the surface. He could see the dark forests that stretched across entire continents. He could see mountains that pierced through the clouds like broken teeth. This place killed everything. Scientists, soldiers, even machines broke down here within weeks, perfect for getting rid of prisoners. In the holding bay below, 27 humans stood in orange prison suits. Their crime was simple. They refused to leave Earth. When the Galactic Concordat arrived and offered humanity a place among the stars, most humans accepted. They scattered across 12 different worlds, happy to be part of something bigger. But not these 27. They fought back. They attacked Concordat facilities. They destroyed equipment. They killed soldiers who tried to force them off their land. So the Concordat sentenced them to exile. Permanent exile. On Kral 7, Day 1 stood with his hands bound behind his back. He was 42 years old, with gray starting to show in his black hair. Before the aliens came, he served in the South Korean Special Forces. He knew how to survive in hostile territory. He knew how to fight. He knew how to kill when necessary, but this was different. This was a death world. Everyone knew what happened to people sent to Kral 7. They died. Usually within the first week. The Concordat had tried to establish a research station here 5 years ago. The entire team vanished within 72 hours. Not even bodies remained. Next to Day 1 stood Hana. She was young, maybe 25, with fierce eyes that never stopped moving. She had been a university student before the war. Now she was a fighter. She killed 3 Concordat soldiers during her arrest. They gave her a choice, execution or exile. She chose exile. The bay door opened with a hiss. Velrax appeared on the video screen above them. His translator turned his clicking sounds into words they could understand. Prisoners of Earth, Velrax announced. You have been sentenced to permanent exile on Kral 7. You will receive basic survival equipment. There is no rescue. There is no escape. There is no mercy. The Concordat has spoken. Your sentence begins now. Taman, a thin man with clever hands, shouted up at the screen. He used to be an engineer before he started sabotaging Concordat mining equipment. What about shelter? What about medicine? What about real supplies? Velrax made that clicking sound again. You will find Kral 7 very educational. Survival is not guaranteed. In fact, it is highly unlikely. Goodbye, humans. The screen went black. Guards pushed them toward the drop pods. Each pod was barely big enough for one person and a small metal crate. Daewon climbed into his pod and strapped himself in. Through the small window, he could see the other pods loading. Hana caught his eye from across the bay. She gave him a grim nod. They both knew the truth. They were probably going to die down there, but humans were stubborn. Maybe, just maybe, they could survive long enough to make the Concordat regret this decision. The drop began without warning. The pod shook violently as it hit the atmosphere. Daewon gritted his teeth against the force. His body slammed against the restraints. The temperature inside rose until sweat poured down his face. Through the window he saw fire, then clouds, then treetops rushing up to meet him. The impact knocked the air from his lungs. Metal screamed. The pod bounced once, twice, then crashed through branches and vines before slamming into the ground. Everything went dark for a moment. When Daewon opened his eyes, he tasted blood. His head throbbed. His ribs ached. But he was alive. He hit the release button and the pod door exploded outward. Humid air rushed in, thick and hot and smelling of decay. He crawled out into hell. The jungle around him pulsed with life. Insects the size of his fist buzzed past his head. Plants with leaves as big as doors grew everywhere. Vines hung from trees that stretched up into the mist above. Everything was wet. Everything was alive. Everything was hungry. The gravity hit him next. It felt like wearing a heavy backpack that he could never take off. Every movement took more effort. Every step felt like walking through deep mud. Kral 7 had gravity 40% stronger than Earth. His body would have to adapt or break. Daewon pulled the supply crate from the pod. Inside he found one plasma knife with a power cell good for maybe 100 cuts, basic food rations for 10 days, a water purifier the size of his palm, and a short-range communicator. That was it. That was all the Concordat gave them to survive on a death world. He activated the communicator. Static filled his ear for a moment, then voices broke through. "Anyone alive?" Hana's voice crackled through the device. "Can anyone hear me?" "This is Daewon," he responded. "I'm alive. Location unknown. Status battered but functional. You?" "I landed in some kind of swamp. Water everywhere. And there's something moving out there. Something big." Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Really big." Other voices joined the channel. Tae-min, Soo-jin, their medic. Young-soo, barely 17 years old. Jae-sung. One by one, 26 survivors checked in. Only one pod failed to respond. Byung-ho. His pod must have malfunctioned during the drop. 26 left. Already. Daewon was about to respond when he heard it. A clicking sound, rhythmic, deliberate, coming from behind him. He turned slowly, plasma knife in hand. The creature stood 10 meters away. It moved on 6 legs, each one segmented and ending in razor-sharp points. Its body was covered in a shell that looked like polished black stone. But the worst part was its head. If you could call it a head, it had too many eyes. Maybe 20, maybe more. All of them focused on Daewon. The clicking came from its mandibles. They opened and closed, revealing rows of teeth inside. The creature lowered its body, muscles coiling beneath its shell, preparing to strike. Daewon's training took over. His instructor's voice echoed in his memory. Predators respect strength, fear hesitation. He spread his feet, balanced his weight despite the crushing gravity, and activated the plasma knife. The blade hummed to life, glowing blue-white in the jungle shadows. The creature lunged fast, impossibly fast for something that big. Daewon threw himself sideways, feeling the wind as those mandibles snapped shut where his head had been. He rolled, came up swinging, and drove the plasma knife into the joint where one leg met the body. The blade cut through the shell with a sound like breaking glass. The creature screamed, a sound that made Daewon's teeth ache. Green blood sprayed from the wound. The creature spun faster than before, and one of its legs caught Daewon across the chest. He flew backward and slammed into a tree trunk. Ribs cracked. Blood filled his mouth. The creature advanced, clicking mandibles opening wide. This was it. His first hour on Kral 7 and he was already dead. Then plasma fire lit up the jungle. 3 shots, precise and deadly, caught the creature in its cluster of eyes. It stumbled, screamed again, and collapsed sideways. Its legs twitched once, twice, then went still. Hana emerged from the undergrowth, plasma knife still smoking in her hand. She looked at Daewon, then at the dead creature, then back at Daewon. "Still think we're going to die in 3 days?" she asked. Daewon coughed, spat blood, and managed a painful smile. "Ask me again after the first week." They both looked at the dead creature. It was massive, deadly, perfectly adapted to this nightmare world, and they had killed it with nothing but basic weapons and human stubbornness. Maybe, just maybe, the Concordat had made a terrible mistake. They thought they were throwing away garbage on a death world. What they actually did was give angry, desperate humans a reason to become something more dangerous than they ever were on Earth. They gave them Kral 7, and humans were about to make it their own. 3 months passed on Kral 7. In orbit high above the planet, Commander Velrak stared at his computer screens with confusion that slowly turned to fear. The numbers made no sense. They had to be wrong, but the automated satellites never lied. Officer Kresh stood beside his commander, looking at the same data. The young officer had never seen anything like this before. No species survived Kral 7 for more than a few days, certainly not primitive humans with basic equipment. "Sir, the biological scanners show 26 human life signs still active. The thermal imaging shows they built permanent structures, large ones, and sir, they appear to have established a defensive perimeter." Velrax felt something cold settle in his stomach. "Show me visual confirmation." Kresh brought up images from a spy drone. Velrax stared at the screen, unable to believe what he saw. The humans had built walls. Actual walls 3 meters high made from processed shells of the local creatures. There were watchtowers at each corner. Cultivated fields where the hostile jungle had been cleared and burned. Smoke rose from what looked like a metalworking forge, and in the center, multiple buildings arranged in a defensive pattern. "This is impossible," Velrax whispered. "We lost an entire research team here. They had advanced technology, weapons, armored vehicles. These humans have nothing." "Had nothing, sir," Kresh corrected quietly. "They appear to have adapted." Down on the surface, Daewon walked along the top of their wall, checking the defensive positions. The wall was his proudest achievement. It took them 6 weeks to build, working in shifts around the clock. They killed 15 of the big creatures to get enough shell material. They called the creatures hexapods because of their 6 legs. The high gravity that nearly broke them in the first week now felt almost normal. His body had changed. Everyone's body had changed. Muscles grew denser, harder. Bones thickened. Even their reflexes improved. Kral 7 was remaking them into something new. "Wall looks solid," Hana said, climbing up to join him. She moved with easy grace now, adapted to the crushing gravity better than anyone else. Her body was lean muscle, her eyes sharp and constantly scanning for threats. The hexapods tested it last night. 3 of them. The wall held. "Any injuries?" Daewon asked. Young-Soo took a cut on his arm. Nothing serious. He killed 2 of them himself with the new spears Jae-sung made. "Kid's becoming a real fighter." Daewon nodded. Young-Soo was only 17, but Kral 7 aged people fast. The boy killed his first hexapod in week 2. Now 3 months later, he led hunting parties into the jungle. The other young ones followed him. Duyun, barely 12 years old, could track prey through the densest undergrowth. Mina, at 10, somehow developed the ability to see in near darkness. The children changed fastest. They were adapting to this world in ways that frightened and amazed the adults. Tai Min approached from the forge, his hands black with soot. The engineer spent every waking hour figuring out how to use local materials. He learned to process hexapod shells into building materials. He extracted metals from ore deposits they found in the hills. He built a windmill that provided power for their growing settlement. "The new plasma extractor works," Tai Min announced with tired satisfaction. "We can refine small amounts from the local crystal deposits. Not much, but enough to keep our knives charged. Maybe even make new weapons eventually." "Good work," Daewon said. "How long until you can make something bigger? Something that could take down a hexapod from range?" "Give me 2 months. Maybe 3. I need to figure out the focusing crystals." Taemin paused. "Daewon, we need to talk about what Sujin discovered. They found Sujin in her medical shelter." The doctor looked exhausted but excited. She had been studying blood samples from everyone in the settlement. What she found changed everything. "Our bodies are changing," Sujin explained, pointing to charts and diagrams. "Bone density increased by 30% across all adults. Muscle fiber is denser, stronger. Our hearts pump more efficiently in the high gravity." "And the children?" "They're changing even faster." "What do you mean?" Daewon asked. "Duyun can track animals by smell now. Actually smell them from hundreds of meters away." Mina's eyes changed. "She has better night vision than any human should. Young-Soo's reaction time is 40% faster than when we arrived." "They're not just adapting. They're evolving fast." Hana leaned against the wall. "The planet is changing us." "No," Daewon said firmly. "We're changing ourselves. Humans always do. Put us in a new environment and we adapt. Put us in hell and we learn to love the heat." He walked to the edge of their settlement and looked out at the jungle. 3 months ago, this place terrified him. Every sound meant danger. Every shadow hid death. Now he understood the jungle's patterns. He knew when the hexapods hunted. He knew which plants were medicine and which were poison. He knew how to read the weather, predict the electrical storms that raged across the sky every few days. They learned to fight like nothing they knew on Earth. Fighting in high gravity required different techniques, different strategies. They developed new combat styles, new weapons, new tactics. The plasma knives were good but limited, so they made spears from hexapod leg bones, sharp as razors and strong enough to pierce shell. They made armor from processed carapace. They made shields, bows, even primitive explosives from local chemicals. Every day brought new discoveries. Every week they grew stronger. Every month they claimed more territory from the jungle. "We only lost 1 person," Hana said softly. "Byung-ho in the first week, before we understood the spores. Since then, 0 deaths. 0. On a death world. The Concordat expected us to die screaming." Daewon replied. "They wanted to make an example of us. Show other humans what happens when you resist. Instead, they gave us a home, Taman added. Day One smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. It was the smile of a predator. They tried to break us. They threw us into the worst place they could find, and all they did was make us stronger. That night, they gathered around the fire in the center of the settlement. 26 survivors. 26 humans who refused to die. They ate meat from a herbivore they hunted that morning. They drank water purified from the river. They wore clothes made from processed plant fibers and hexapod leather. Everything they had, they made themselves. Everything they needed, they took from the jungle. The Concordat gave them almost nothing, so they learned to take everything. Young Su stood up and raised his cup. To Kral 7, our new home. To Kral 7, everyone echoed. Du Yun, the 12-year-old who could track by smell, asked a question that everyone wondered about. Will they come back? The aliens who left us here? Daewon looked up at the stars. Somewhere up there, the Concordat watched them, monitored them, probably confused and frightened by what they saw. Good, let them be frightened. Yes, Daewon said. They'll come back eventually. They'll want to see what happened to us. Maybe they'll try to move us somewhere else. Maybe they'll try to kill us properly this time. And if they do? Hana asked. Daewon stood and looked at his people. They were stronger now, faster, smarter. They survived 3 months on a world that killed everything else. They built a home from nothing. They turned a nightmare into their territory. If they come back, we'll show them what happens when you try to kill humans by dropping them in hell. You just teach them to become demons, the fire crackled. The jungle made its night sounds around them. And 26 humans smiled in the darkness, thinking about the future. About revenge. About making the Concordat regret ever hearing the name Kral 7. They were not prisoners anymore. They were not victims. They were survivors. And this world belonged to them now. 2 years had passed since the humans arrived on Kral 7. In the Grand Council chambers of the Galactic Concordat, representatives from 14 different species gathered in emergency session. The topic, the human problem. Commander Velrak stood before them, no longer confident. The crystalline being who once thought dropping humans on a death world was a clever solution now faced the consequences of that decision. Behind him, holographic displays showed the latest surveillance images from Kral 7. The images were shocking. What started as a small fortified settlement had grown into a proper city. Multiple buildings, advanced metalworking facilities, agricultural zones, defensive walls that stretched for kilometers, and, most disturbing of all, what appeared to be Weapons Manufacturing Council member Thexelar, an elder from a cautious species that valued careful planning, leaned forward. His tentacles gestured at the display. Commander Velrax, your report states only 1 human casualty in 2 years. 1. We lost an entire research team of 15 scientists in 3 days. How is this possible? Velrax shifted uncomfortably. The humans have proven more adaptable than our projections indicated. They learned the planet's ecology rapidly. They developed new survival techniques, and they appear to be physically changing to match their environment. The council chamber erupted in noise. Representatives shouted over each other. Mandibles clicked. Tentacles waved. Voices rose in panic and confusion. Changing? What does that mean? The Vrelian military sent a full expedition to Kral 7. They lasted 3 days before emergency evacuation. How can primitive humans succeed where our best warriors failed? Velrax raised his claws for silence. We underestimated them. Badly. Human physiology responds to environmental pressure in ways we did not anticipate. Their bodies adapt. Their minds find solutions. Their social structures allow them to work together efficiently under extreme stress. We made a mistake. On Kral 7, Daewon stood before the Settlement Council. They held meetings now. Proper organized discussions about their future. What started as survival had become something more. They were building a civilization. The council met in a large building at the center of their city. 32 people now lived here. 6 babies had been born on this world. The children were something unprecedented. Stronger, faster, more aware than any human children should be. They were the first generation of true Kral 7 natives. The satellites are watching us more closely, Hana reported. She had become their intelligence officer, tracking orbital patterns with sensors Taemin built from salvaged parts and local materials. More drones. Better cameras. Higher resolution. They're scared of us. Good, Jae-sung said. The engineer had reverse-engineered their plasma knives and built actual weapons. Not tools, weapons. Plasma rifles that could punch through hexapod shells from 50 meters. Grenade-like devices that used local chemicals. Even primitive artillery. Let them be scared. They should be. Su-Jin, their doctor, spoke up. We need to think long-term. We have 12 children now. More babies coming. What future are we building? Do we stay hidden forever? Do we just survive? Or do we want something more? Daewon looked around the table. These people had transformed completely. Their bodies were lean, hard, powerful. 2 years of high gravity and constant physical challenge had remade them. Their eyes held an intensity that would frighten most people. They moved like predators because that is what they had become. Apex predators on a world designed to kill everything. We make this world completely ours, Daewon said. We don't just survive Kral 7, we conquer it. We claim every forest, every mountain, every river, and then we send the Concordat a message they cannot ignore. Young Su, now 19 and built like a warrior from ancient legends, asked the obvious question. What message? Daewon smiled. That you cannot kill humans by dropping us in hell. You just teach us to become demons. The next morning they began construction on their most ambitious project yet. A transmission tower, tall enough to broadcast beyond the planet's magnetic interference. It would take months to build. They needed to process tons of hexapod chitin for the support structure. Taemin had to design a power system capable of boosting their signal to Concordat frequencies. It was a massive undertaking, but they had time. And they had determination. 2 things humans had in abundance. While the tower construction began, hunting parties pushed deeper into unexplored territory. Hana led expeditions that mapped hundreds of kilometers. They found new resources, new dangers, new opportunities. They established supply caches throughout the jungle, built hidden shelters, created emergency escape routes. They were not just surviving anymore. They were claiming territory, expanding, growing stronger every day. The children trained constantly. Duyun, now 9 years old, killed her first hexapod solo. The creature wandered too close to the settlement perimeter. The child tracked it for 3 hours through dense jungle, moving silently despite the undergrowth. When the hexapod stopped to feed, Duyun struck. One spear through the visual cluster, clean, efficient, perfect. Su-Jin watched the kill with mixed emotions. We're not raising children. We're raising warriors. This world does not allow children, Daewon replied. Only survivors. She needs these skills to live here. They all do, he was right. Kral 7 had no mercy. Every day brought new threats, predators, storms, toxic plants, dangerous terrain. The planet tested them constantly. But the humans learned every lesson. They adapted to every challenge. They turned every threat into an opportunity. In orbit, the automated monitoring systems recorded everything. Every building constructed, every weapon forged, every child born, every expansion of their territory. The data flowed back to Concordat headquarters where analysts grew more alarmed with each report. The humans were not just surviving impossible conditions. They were thriving. They were growing. They were becoming something the galaxy had never seen before. A species perfectly adapted to death world conditions while maintaining their intelligence and social organization. 6 months later, the transmission tower stood complete. It rose 15 meters above the tallest building in their settlement. At the top, a broadcasting antenna made from processed metals and carefully shaped crystals. Taemin worked for weeks calibrating it, testing it, making sure it would work. Finally, on a clear morning when all 3 suns rose together, they activated it. Daewon stood before the microphone they had built. Everyone in the settlement gathered to witness this moment. He spoke slowly and clearly, knowing his words would reach across the stars. To all humans in Concordat space, this is Daewon speaking from Kral 7. The Concordat tried to break us. They tried to bury us on a death world. They tried to make an example of us. They failed. We are still here. We are strong. We are waiting. Kral 7 belongs to humanity now. This is our world, our home, and we invite all humans who remember Earth, who remember freedom, to come back. Come home to Kral 7. Come home to us. The message repeated continuously, broadcasting on all frequencies. Impossible to ignore. The Concordat tried to jam it, but Taemin had designed the system well. The signal pushed through every interference. Within days, the Concordat Council received reports of unrest among human populations across their territory. Humans asking questions. demanding to know what happened on Kral 7, wanting to know why their own people were sentenced to death. Some even asking how they could get there. Velrak stood before the council again, this time with genuine fear in his eyes. The humans have turned our punishment into recruitment propaganda. They are calling other humans to join them. If we allow this to continue, we may face a full rebellion. Then we must stop them, another council member declared. Send the fleet. Eliminate the settlement. Orbital bombardment. Quick and final. Thexlar raised a tentacle. Consider what you suggest. These humans survived conditions that killed our best soldiers. They adapted. They evolved. They built a civilization from nothing. If we attack them now, what message does that send to the millions of humans integrated into our society? That we are afraid, Velrax admitted quietly. Precisely. And they would be correct, because I am afraid. Afraid of what these humans represent. They show us that our control is not absolute. That our power has limits. That strength comes in forms we do not understand. On Kral 7, the humans prepared. They knew the Concordat would respond eventually. They built defenses, stockpiled weapons, trained every day, made plans for every possibility, and they waited, patient, ready, unafraid, because they were not victims anymore. They were not prisoners. They were Death World survivors with nothing left to lose and everything to gain, and that made them the most dangerous thing in the galaxy. 5 years. 5 long years since 27 humans were dropped on Kral 7 to die. The Galactic Concordat could no longer ignore what was happening on that distant Death World. Commander Velrak stood in the council chambers once more. Beside him stood Fleet Admiral Drokar, a massive being covered in plates of natural armor. Drokar commanded 300 warships. He had fought in 17 major conflicts. He feared very little in the galaxy, but the images on the display made even him uncomfortable. The human settlement on Kral 7 had become a fortified city. Population 83. Advanced infrastructure. Weapon systems. Defensive walls that could withstand heavy assault. And most troubling, they had begun domesticating the hexapods. The massive killing machines that terrorized everything on Kral 7 now served as mounts and guard beasts for the humans. This is beyond unprecedented, Admiral Drokar stated, his voice like grinding rocks. The humans have accomplished what no Concordat species could. They have not only survived Kral 7, they have mastered it. They have turned the most hostile world in our territory into their fortress. Worse, Velrax added, they continue broadcasting, not distress calls, propaganda, recruitment messages. They are calling other humans to join them. He played the latest recording. Daewon's voice filled the chamber, strong and clear and absolutely defiant. To all humans in Concordat space, they tried to break us. They tried to bury us on a death world. They failed. We are still here. We are strong. We are waiting. Kral 7 is humanity's now. Come home, come stand with us. Show them that humans cannot be destroyed. Show them that we will never surrender. The council erupted in chaos. Voices shouted over each other. Some demanded immediate military action. Others urged caution. A few suggested negotiation, though they were quickly shouted down. Council member Thexlar raised a tentacle for silence. The elder being spoke with careful authority. Consider what you are suggesting. These humans survived conditions that killed our best soldiers. They adapted. They evolved. They thrived. If we attack them now with military force, what message does that send to the millions of humans integrated into our society? That we are afraid, Velrak said quietly. That we made a mistake. That humans are stronger than we believed. Precisely, Thexlar agreed. And they would be absolutely correct. Because I am afraid. Very afraid. Not of their weapons or their walls. I am afraid of what they represent. They prove that determination and adaptability can overcome any obstacle. That is a dangerous idea. On Kral 7, Daewon watched the sky. He was 50 years old now, but the planet's harsh conditions had forged him into something harder than he ever was on Earth. Gray streaked his hair, but his body was pure muscle. Bone density off the charts. Reflexes enhanced by years of high-gravity combat. He could move faster, hit harder, endure longer than any normal human. All of them had changed. The original 26 survivors were something new, something between human and whatever came next. And their children. The children born on this world were extraordinary, faster, stronger, more aware. They could see in darkness, track by scent, sense danger before it arrived. They were the future of humanity, forged in the worst conditions imaginable. Hana joined him on the wall. She was 40 now, lean and dangerous, her eyes constantly scanning for threats. Still no response from the Concordat? They will come eventually, Daewon replied. They cannot leave us here as a symbol of their failure. Every day we survive makes them look weaker. They will have to act. Let them come, Hana said. We are ready. Indeed they were. The settlement had become a fortress city. Plasma cannons lined the walls, built by Taemin from reverse-engineered technology. They had tunnel networks throughout the surrounding jungle, trained hexapods that responded to commands. Every human in the settlement was a warrior. Every child could fight. They had prepared for this moment for 5 years. Young-Soo commanded their military forces now. At 22, he was a hardened veteran who had killed more hexapods than anyone could count. Du-Yun, at 12, could track prey through electrical storms and had personally killed 23 hexapods. Even the youngest children trained daily with weapons and tactics. Ships incoming, Taemin announced from the sensor station. 3 vessels. Concordat military configuration. They are holding position in high orbit. Daewon activated the settlement-wide broadcast. All personnel to defensive positions. This is not a drill. Remember your training. Remember why we are here. Remember that we do not back down. Not now, not ever. Kral 7 is ours. Let them try to take it. A transmission cut through their communication system. Fleet Admiral Drokar's voice amplified and artificial through translators. Human settlement on Kral 7. This is the Concordat fleet. You are in violation of exile protocols. You are broadcasting illegal propaganda. You are constructing unauthorized military facilities. Cease your transmissions immediately and prepare for relocation. You have 1 hour to comply. Daewon took the transmitter. His response would be broadcast not just to the fleet, but across all Concordat emergency frequencies. Millions would hear his words. Maybe billions. Admiral Drokar, 5 years ago, your people dropped us on this world to die. You gave us almost nothing. You expected the planet to kill us within days. You wanted to make an example of us. You wanted to show other humans what happens when they resist. He paused, letting his words sink in. We did not die. We survived. We learned. We adapted. We conquered this nightmare world. We built a city from nothing. We turned your death sentence into our home. This is our world now. We earned it with blood and determination and human stubbornness. If you want it, come and take it. But know this, Admiral. We are not the same scared prisoners you dumped here 5 years ago. We are Death World survivors. We are stronger than you. We are faster than you. We are more determined than you. And we are done running. Silence on the channel. Then Drokar responded, and Daewon could hear uncertainty in the translated voice. You have 1 hour. Comply or face military action. We await your attack, Daewon replied calmly. We have been waiting for 5 years. Come down here, Admiral. Send your soldiers. Test yourself against a death world, and the humans who made it their home. We will show you why dropping humans in hell was the worst mistake the Concordat ever made. He cut the transmission. Around him, his people prepared for battle. Weapons charged. Defenses activated. Hexapods moved into position. Every human ready to fight for their home. In the Fleet Command Center, Admiral Drokar exchanged glances with Velrax. The humans had called their bluff. Attack them, and risk igniting rebellion among human populations across Concordat space. Leave them, and admit that the Concordat could be defeated by 27 exiles with basic equipment. Sir, an officer reported, we are detecting weapons signatures from the surface. Multiple plasma cannons, artillery positions. They have reverse-engineered our technology. They have defenses that could seriously damage a landing force. Another officer added, Sir, we are also detecting encrypted communications from the surface to human populations on 7 different Concordat worlds. They are broadcasting instructions, tactical information. They are organizing something. Drokar made his decision. It was not the decision his pride wanted, but it was the decision his experience demanded. Stand down. Maintain blockade orbit. No attacks. No landing attempts. He turned to Velrax. Send a priority message to the Council. We have a situation that requires political solution, not military. The humans are not our prisoners anymore. They are an independent force, and they are more dangerous than we ever imagined. On the surface, Daewon watched the ships in orbit. They did not attack. They did not land. They just watched, waiting, uncertain. Hana smiled. They are afraid of us. Good, Day One replied. Fear means respect. Respect means negotiation, and negotiation means we won. Young Su approached, weapons still ready. Did we just win a war without fighting? We won the war 5 years ago, Day One said. When we survived the first week. When we built the first wall. When we decided that Kral 7 was ours. They are just now realizing it. The Concordat dropped us here thinking we would die. Instead, they created something they cannot control. Something they cannot defeat. They created humans with nothing to lose and everything to prove. He looked at his people, 83 humans who refused to die. Who turned hell into home. Who proved that humanity could not be broken by any environment, any challenge, any enemy. They tried to punish us, Day One said. They tried to destroy us. All they did was make us stronger. And now they cannot make us leave. Cannot make us surrender. Cannot make us afraid. Because we are Death World survivors. And we are just getting started. The ships remained in orbit, watching, waiting, afraid to attack, afraid to leave, trapped by their own mistake. And on Kral 7 the humans celebrated, not because the danger was over, but because they had proven something important. They had proven that humanity could not be killed by exile, could not be broken by harsh worlds, could not be destroyed by alien powers. They had proven that humans were here to stay, whether the Concordat liked it or not. 10 years. A full decade since 27 humans arrived on Kral 7 expecting to die. The Galactic Concordat Council chambers had changed. A new seat had been added. A human seat. And sitting in that seat was Ambassador Day One of the independent human territory of Kral 7. The treaty negotiations took 5 years. 5 long years of talks, arguments, threats, and compromises. The Concordat could not remove the humans without massive military action that would destabilize their entire alliance. The humans could not expand without resources and technology they did not have. Stalemate forced both sides to negotiate, but it was strange diplomacy. The humans negotiated from a position of strength earned through survival. They proved that death worlds could be colonized. They proved that humans were more adaptable than anyone believed. They proved that determination and intelligence could overcome any obstacle. Day One stood before the council, his hair gray but his body still powerful. 10 years on Kral 7 had changed him permanently. His bones were denser than any normal human. His muscles were stronger. His reflexes were faster. He was living proof of what humans could become when pushed to the absolute limit. The human population on Kral 7 now stands at 234. Day One reported calmly. We have established 3 additional settlements and have mapped 40% of the primary continent. We have cataloged hundreds of species. We have developed techniques for processing local materials into construction supplies, weapons, medicine, and technology. Kral 7 is no longer a death world. It is our home. Council member Thexler, who had become an unlikely ally over the years, spoke carefully. Ambassador, your people have accomplished the impossible. You have our respect, but the Council remains concerned about your military capabilities. The plasma weapons, the domesticated predators, the fortifications. You understand our worry. Are you afraid we will use them against you? Day One asked directly. No politeness. No diplomatic language. Just a simple question. The chamber fell silent. Every representative knew the answer. Yes, they were afraid. Commander Velrax, demoted but still on the council as a reminder of past mistakes, spoke honestly. We should be afraid. We tried to kill you. We failed. Now you are stronger than ever. You have proven you can survive anything. Any human hearing your story will know they can do the same. That makes you dangerous, Day One nodded. You are right to be cautious. But not for the reasons you think. Yes, we could fight you. Yes, we would probably win any ground engagement. Death World adaptation makes us formidable soldiers. But that is not what should concern you most. Then what should? Admiral Drokar asked. That we do not want to fight, Day One replied. We want to build. You gave us a nightmare world and we made it home. Imagine what we could accomplish with partnership instead of punishment. Imagine what humans and the Concordat could do together instead of against each other. He activated a holographic display. It showed Kral 7's current state. Thriving settlements, agricultural zones producing food, industrial facilities making materials, all built without Concordat help. Then he showed projections, plans, possibilities. There are 14 other worlds classified as uninhabitable in concordate space. Death worlds. Rich in resources but impossible to colonize. Or so you thought. Give us access to those worlds. Let humanity do what we do best. Survive the unsurvivable. We will develop them. Extract resources. Build settlements. And we will share the profits. 50-50 split. The council erupted in debate. It was an audacious proposal. Humans as Death World specialists, turning liabilities into assets, using the most hostile planets in the galaxy as resource bases and human colonies. You ask us to reward your defiance, one council member protested. You broke our laws, resisted our authority, built military forces without permission, and now you want us to give you more planets? I ask you to learn from your mistake, Day One replied firmly. You tried to break humanity. You failed. Now you have a choice. Fight us for the next century, wasting resources and lives on both sides, or profit from what makes us different. Your decision will define the next era of galactic history. Back on Kral 7, Hana watched the new generation train. The children born on this world were extraordinary. They moved with grace impossible on standard gravity planets. They possessed strength that would make them superhuman anywhere else. They had senses enhanced by constant adaptation to hostile environments. Du Yun, now 17, led a squad of younger warriors through hexapod territory. She moved through the jungle like a ghost, perfectly adapted to every challenge. She was not just surviving Kral 7, she was born for it. She was the future. Do you think the council will accept the proposal? Su Jin asked, joining Hana on the observation deck. The doctor was 55 now, still sharp and capable. They will, Hana replied confidently. They have to. We proved that death worlds can be colonized. That changes everything. Those 14 worlds represent incredible wealth. Rare minerals, unique biological resources, strategic positions. The Concordate cannot access them. We can. They need us now. And if they refuse? Hana smiled, a predatory expression. Then we do it anyway. We are humans. We do not ask permission to survive. We just survive. 3 months later, the treaty was signed. The Kral 7 Accords. Humanity gained rights to colonize designated death worlds with full sovereignty over their settlements. They received technology transfers, trade agreements, and official recognition as an independent territory. The Concordate gained access to previously unusable resources and a new respect for human capability. But the real victory was not the treaty. The real victory was what the humans of Kral 7 had proven, that you cannot destroy humanity by throwing them into hell. You just teach them to make hell their home. Day One stood on the wall of their first settlement, now a sprawling city with thousands of inhabitants. He looked out at the jungle, the same jungle that tried to kill him 10 years ago. Now it fed them, protected them, served them. They had conquered it completely. Young Su approached, now a grizzled veteran training the next generation of warriors. The first colonial ships arrive next week. 500 volunteers from integrated human worlds. They want to try death world living. They heard our story and want to join us. Can we handle that many new people? Day One asked. We survived with 27 and almost no supplies. Now we have 200, complete infrastructure, and 10 years of experience. We will manage easily. Young Su paused. Sir, do you ever regret it? Fighting back on Earth? Everything that led to us being dumped here? Day One thought carefully. He remembered the fear of those first days. The losses, the pain, the brutal adaptation, the constant threat of death. Then he looked at the city they built, the people they saved, the future they forged from nothing but determination. Not for a second, he replied. The Concordate tried to punish us. Instead, they gave us the greatest gift imaginable. What gift? They reminded us what humans are truly capable of when pushed to the edge. They wanted to break our spirit. Instead, they forged us into something stronger, something unstoppable. They took our weakness and made it our greatest strength. That night, the entire settlement celebrated the treaty. Music played. Food was shared. Stories were told. The original survivors shared their memories with the children who never knew Earth. They told stories of the first days, the first hunts, the first victories. They told stories of fear overcome and strength discovered. Du Yun listened to these stories with burning eyes. She was born on Kral 7. She knew no other home. But these stories taught her where she came from, what her people endured, what they accomplished. Will we go to other death worlds? She asked Day One. Yes, he replied. The treaty gives us that right. There are 14 worlds waiting. Each one different. Each one deadly. Each one a new challenge. Good, Doyun said. I want to see them all. I want to prove that humans can survive anywhere. Daewon smiled. This child born in hell, raised in constant danger, was the future. She and her generation would spread across the galaxy. They would claim every impossible world. They would prove that humanity could not be contained, could not be limited, could not be stopped. In the Concordate archives, a new file was created. Species classification: humans. Special designation: Death World Specialists. Warning: extreme adaptability. Never attempt elimination through exile or environmental hazard. Approach with respect and caution. The humans of Kral 7 had taught the galaxy an important lesson, a lesson that would never be forgotten. You cannot kill humanity by dropping them in a nightmare. You can only teach them to become the nightmare. 10 years ago, 27 humans arrived on Kral 7 expecting to die. Instead, they changed the galaxy forever. They proved that humans were more than the Concordate believed. More adaptable, more determined, more dangerous, and the Concordate would never make the mistake of underestimating humanity again. Daewon looked up at the stars, thinking about the future. 14 death worlds waited. Thousands of humans would colonize them. Each world would forge new communities. Each community would become stronger. Humanity would spread across the galaxy's most hostile environments and make them home. The Concordate tried to get rid of a problem. Instead, they created something they never imagined. They created a humanity that feared nothing, a humanity that could survive anywhere.